Not only did I lose my son, but the state took it upon themselves to create me out to be the worst person in the world. If you are exonerated, that don't mean shit. And I'm just here to tell you. I should not have to fight for what is right. I should not have been on death row, but I was. How do you fix that?
There are countless people doing hard time in American prisons for crimes they didn't commit. I've interviewed dozens of them for my podcast. Now, we're bringing these powerful stories to your screens each week. I'm Jason Flom, and this is Wrongful Conviction. Sabrina Butler-Smith was convicted of murder after performing CPR on her 9-month-old son, Walter Dean Butler. Prosecutors convinced the jury she had killed him. Sabrina was later cleared by medical evidence that showed her baby had a deadly illness. She became the first woman exonerated from death row in the United States. This is her story.
Growing up in Mississippi as a teenage mother was kind of hard. I was trying to be a mom and doing teenage things at the same time. And when you're a teenager, you make a lot of mistakes, and I did. My son and I were at an apartment. He was playing on the couch, and it was like nothing was wrong. You know, I didn't see any signs that anything was wrong with him or anything like that. I wasn't gone 10 minutes. And I got a bottle, went to his room, and I noticed that he wasn't breathing. And right then I panicked. So I grabbed him and ran outside. The girl came out and she grabbed him and she put him on the floor and started CPR. The girl that did the CPR told me to blow in his mouth, hold his nose, and press in his stomach. Well, she didn't tell me the right way. So I applied adult CPR to little Walter all the way to the hospital, thinking that I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was saving him. I never thought that these people would charge me with murder. I just thought that I would go to jail for not, being at the house with my son. And so I said to myself that I couldn't be honest. You gotta lie. That's the first thing I thought. It took them forever to come out and get me to say that they couldn't save him. I couldn't believe what they were telling me. He's gone, we can't save him. And I remember telling them, no, you lying. All you people are lying. And that's when the questions began. And it was like 1,000 people standing around me. I did not have proper time to mourn my son. I was only looked at as a person that could have killed my son. And at first I didn't realize that they were leaning toward murder until I got into the interrogation room. When I did finally start telling them what happened, they didn't want to hear that. And the lead detective, he wrote a statement out. He shoved it in my face and told me, you hit your baby, you stomped him, you beat him, this is what you did, and asked me to sign it. And after so long of being no sleep interrogation, I just signed. I sat in the county jail for a little over a year. They sent me to Whitfield, and Whitfield is a place where they send you if they think you're crazy, to see if you're able to stand trial. And that was a horrible experience. Once the 8 weeks were over, I was sent back to the county jail. I didn't have a prayer in hell. I knew. Here I am, this poor black kid, didn't have, decent attorneys to present my case. As I pleaded to take the stand in my own defense because the district attorney was making me out to be a horrible person, a horrible mother, they wouldn't let me take the stand. So I knew that, I was done for. I knew it. I just wanted to die right there. I was like, what's the use? Nobody's listening to me. I'm trying to tell you what happened. What else is there left? Leg shackles, irons from your wrist all the way down to your feet. They stripped me of everything I thought that I had. They put me in this bullpen that looked like a cage that you put a dog in. I was hyperventilating because I was scared out of my mind. I was considered the monster mother who killed a child, who beat my child to death. That's what I was considered as. No one cared about my feelings or how I felt about my son passing and didn't know what he died from. When you go to prison, they don't care about your feelings. It's just another number. I paced the floors. I listened for every sound, every chain, because I actually thought that that was the day that they was gonna kill me. To be tortured that kind of way and being innocent is one thing that you will never forget. Nobody from the lawyer's office or anything told me anything about that. Somebody next door to me on death row who had already went through the same thing told me what to expect and not to worry. That's how I got through it. I'm thinking that it was gonna be quick. Well, it wasn't.
I want to ask you about the trial itself. What was that moment like for you, Clive, and Sabrina?
One of the key points in the trial, Clive was cross-examining one of the police officers, and Clive handed him a doll and said, "How would you perform CPR on an infant?" And the police officer did it with his two hands, pressed down, instead of the way it should be done with a child, which is two fingers gently. And through that one demonstration, Clive was able to point out to the jury that even a police officer could make the same mistake that Sabrina Butler made, and that may have been the cause, or part of the cause, of her child's death. But it wasn't intentional. She wasn't trying to abuse the child. She wasn't trying to kill the child. Unlike the first trial, the jury got a real picture of Walter Dean's existing medical problems and how those might have contributed to his death, which demonstrated our theme that this was a tragic death, but it wasn't a crime.
I found out that my son had heart problems, kidney problems, and chronic bowel syndrome. It was nothing that I had done to cause his death. I just didn't know how to apply CPR. He had already passed. I was doing CPR on him, trying to bring him back, but he was already gone. But when the verdict came back and he said, "You are not guilty," I just fell. Because I've been through so much. And I finally, somebody heard what I said and they freed me for what should have been in the first place. I was overwhelmed. It was so much to contain at that moment. Two years, I visited my son's grave. When I found him, he was down a rock road in the woods, under a tree on a hill. And it looked like it used to be a cemetery a long time ago, but there was no way to get in it. years after I got out, I found out that his death certificate still stated that he was murdered. So I'm in the process still of fighting Mississippi today, trying to get them to change his death certificate. If you are exonerated, that don't mean shit. And I'm just here to tell you, it don't mean shit because you're still fighting the public. I got out in '95. I've been doing advocacy work since '96. And I'm gonna continue to do it till I can't. And when I see something wrong, it bothers me until it's fixed. And I think that's why I advocate so hard, because I know that it's wrong. I know this is wrong. They're steady killing people on death row. It's wrong. How can you take another human being's redemptive period? We're not God. You can't do that. You don't have the right to say who lives and who dies, no matter what. I feel like we as human beings have gotten so far away from what is right. It's all about politics and money. It's not about what's right. I wrote my book to try to use it as a teaching tool, to help as many young people as I can. Because there's a lot of us out there, black, brown, white, whatever, maybe going through the same situation that I did. To the viewers watching me, I would like you to know that you can get involved. We have to do something as a people to make a change. If we don't, then we're gonna keep on getting the status quo, what we got right now. That's what we're gonna continue to get.